Today we are talking about Cyclospora, the latest craze in explosive diarrhea. Cyclosporiasis is a gastrointestinal illness caused by the microscopic parasite Cyclospora. Since May 1st, 2026, CDC has received reports of at least 10,000 laboratory-confirmed domestic cases of cyclosporiasis. What can we all do to avoid coming into contact with this parasite? And when will it be safe to return to Taco Bell? All that and more on this week's episode of My Allergist Dad.
Throat tickle or itchy eye, skin rash or a patch of hives. If allergies got you down bad, then just ask my allergist dad.
Welcome to My Allergist Dad. I'm Drew, and as always, I'm here with my dad, perennial top doc for allergy and immunology in Rhode Island, Dr. Z. Hey, Dad.
Hey, Drew.
I heard you have, before we jump into the Cyclospora, I heard you had a little story you wanted to tell.
Yeah, I always find it interesting. I told you I'm taking this course on the Institute of Integrative Nutrition, and I love the way it's helping me look at things from a different direction than in medicine, which is all about symptoms diagnosis. And it was talking about the bigger picture about the liver and something that's become very common called the fatty liver, and how our liver, as you know from high school, is important for detoxification. And so if the liver can't detox, then there's backup of potential toxins in the body. And we've spoken about chronic hives, and that so many patients of mine have chronic hives and they come for evaluation of chronic hives. And allergists will say, well, we've been taught if it's 6 weeks without an obvious trigger, it's called idiopathic. And we don't know the cause. Now it's called spontaneous. And I always had a problem with that. And patients often had a problem with that because idiopathic is a great way of saying we don't know the cause. But in their minds, there's something they're eating, there's something they're doing, there's something behind it. And we keep speaking about how lifestyle affects inflammation and ultimately is expressed in different ways from different patients. So my aha came when I love reviews. It was speaking about how the liver plays a major role with cholesterol and estrogen breakdown and to be able to be excreted from the body. And if it isn't, it backs up and goes back into the bloodstream. So, and we've spoken about estrogen dominance and how it has a role on the mast cells. And what also spoke about how the liver can acutely worsen based on what you're eating. And so if you're going out to dinner and eating a lot of, quote, unhealthy things and having a few drinks, because now the whole thing about is how much alcohol is good for you is a lot less than they used to say. So if you're having alcohol, especially females who are supposed to have half what males do.
Because of size or because of their liver?
Yes, because of size in their body, and how alcohol also affects diamine oxidase, DAO, that breaks down histamine. It's a double effect.
And it breaks down DAO for both males and females?
DAO breaks down estrogen, histamine, and the liver, when it's not working, you're having more histamine, you're having more estrogen. It said that the DAO is not working as well. So you don't have as much. So whatever it is, there's a lot of backups. You're having more estrogen. So you go out to that dinner, you have a bottle of wine, you share a bottle of wine, and then you eat other foods that might be high histamine or have some unhealthy chips also. All these things, it all backs up and leads to increased estrogen backup, reduced breakdown of histamine, and it all affects the mast cells and they're breaking out of hives. And then the next day they're having hives. So it was just an interesting fatty liver, alcohol, more effects on the liver, backup effects on estrogen, backup effects on the mast cells, not being able to break down histamine. It's a perfect storm to developing hives. And so hives is also an indication that your body liver isn't working, you're not detoxing. So it also says there's a way that you can fix it, is again working on your lifestyle, making some slight changes in your diet can lead to reduced hives.
So basically drinking less or cutting out alcohol if you have fatty liver, if you're sort of in or near it, could help prevent a lot of hives and symptoms.
Yes, and a lot of my patients, especially if they're menopausal women, they're in their 50s, histamine, it's a perfect. This is also an indication body liver isn't working, you're not detoxing. So it also says there's a way that you can fix it, is again working on your lifestyle, making
Or cutting out alcohol if you have there are so many instances where health is really you have agency and you have control. And today we're talking about something where this is an instance where you can have a lot of agency and control over your health. But currently, we're dealing with a situation where there's some agency and control we have, but a certain amount of control that we don't have. And that's with the very topical Cyclospora outbreak, um, where there are steps you can take to prevent and reduce your exposure. But ultimately, it's a systemic, it's an infrastructure situation where there is of a food system where there is a parasite outbreak that we can't totally control that parasite's going to happen. Or I mean we can limit our exposure to it. We can limit the foods that we understand to be higher risk for having the parasite. We can wash our lettuce, but at the end of the day there's I guess the control is what, just don't eat any lettuce or wash it thoroughly, but even then, I guess there's not 100% prevention.
yes, but there is a slight thing that people can do. At least this is my theory. I could be wrong, but I truly feel it's true. I also think people who, again, have healthier lifestyles and healthier current microbiome, that they're less likely to be affected. I mean, I can tell you, I used to get food poisoning more easily than my siblings or anyone else. And I was, as a child, frequently on prednisone and antibiotics. So knowing what I know now, but obviously didn't
You had
know
a
when I was
weaker
a
immune
child, I
system.
had an unhealthy microbiome. And so when I was often the sole one who ate the exact same thing as people and was the one that got sick. And I see that a lot with patients. They'll say, "Oh, I got really sick. No one else at the table did." Now, sometimes it can be such a bad infectious thing, and it could be the case here that everybody at the table got it, but some may still have it worse than others based on the healthiness of their landscape, as I like to say.
Yeah, I mean, having a healthy lifestyle, having a microbiome, having that'll all contribute to having a better immune system where you'll be better positioned to sort of fight off.
Or less of a bad effect from this.
Yeah, you might have fewer accidents in your pants because you take better care of yourself. I think to a certain degree, there's only so much your immune system can do with certain pathogens, but there's a lot you can do to make sure your body is as best equipped as possible to fight it or prevent it. And then also, there are other steps you can take, such as washing all fruits and vegetables thoroughly and, really scrubbing, getting in deep, cutting away any damaged or bruised areas on fruits and vegetables before preparing and eating. Cooking can kill the parasite since washing alone cannot guarantee the removal. You can cook produce at a temperature of at least 158 degrees Fahrenheit, 7 degrees Celsius. That's what, me and my fiance have been doing. We're washing and then sautéing all our vegetables, even lettuce. like mixed greens, which aren't, typically sautéed, I would say, but it's tastes a lot like just cooking spinach.
Have they given any indication when you can stop doing that since they identified the source? Or are people just doing that all the time now?
Not that I've seen.
Or you can buy one of those hydroponic plants so you make it at your house.
Yeah, grow your own. This is the perfect time to get a victory garden. Originally reported as a novel pathogen of probable, and Dad, you may need to correct my pronunciation here, coccidian nature in the 1980s and described in the early 1990s, it was virtually unknown in developed countries until awareness increased due to several outbreaks linked with fecally contaminated imported produce. So, ashes to ashes, dust to dust, feces to feces. Cyclospora comes from poop and then fights its
So I
way
guess they
out
need to
through
keep the
poop.
animals out.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
But yeah, I mean, this has been a topical outbreak. I think it's a reminder that health is holistic and, but they're holistic can mean, exercise, sleep, diet, but it can also mean wash your food, avoid certain foods, be
And
careful,
wash your hands.
wash your hands. You and maybe be intentional about the kinds of places you go. Maybe, I don't want to call them out, but they have been in the news linked a lot to this. Taco Bell. They they recently ran a promo where I think they were doing like dollar taco pizzas with no lettuce to try to bring people back and regain trust after the outbreak.
Actually sounds nice. I mean, it's not the healthiest thing, so you can have it with broccoli at home, but I'm just saying frozen broccoli. But all I know is that you cooked.
I'll see you in a couple weeks, Dad. Maybe we can catch up over a dollar taco pizza. Where's the nearest Taco Bell in Rhode Island?
I don't know. I have no idea. I'm not a frequenter. I'm not a big taco person, to be honest.
You roasted me in the family group chat when it came out that it was at Taco Bell. You just shared, look, Cyclosporas at Taco Bell. Drew, don't you go here? And in fairness to you, I've I've probably been the most out of anyone in our family, but I don't think I've been in years. I'd gone.
Well, you love tacos.
That's true. I love tacos are my favorite food. Taco Bell is somewhere I've gone in the past. I didn't really go until like I was an adult, and even then I probably went a handful of times.
Well, we don't want to knock Taco Bell. People love it. People love Taco Bell and they'll fix it up. And maybe their pizza is going to become the biggest seller.
There are a lot of instances where, a crisis that affects a brand also provides a really good branding opportunity for them. And it's like they have like I think Domino's had a excuse me, a crisis of how bad their pizza was. And then they used it as an opportunity to change their recipe. And then they completely rebounded and became extremely popular and profitable through that. So this may be an opportunity for Taco Bell to rebrand, use the notoriety to turn it into good publicity, get people back, and we don't know what the future will be. We talked about this on a previous episode with Lucas Folia because he was in Pacifica. I have been to Taco Bell Cantina, which is Taco Bells that also have bars, and that is a really fun and dangerous combo, dangerous in the more colorful way of just, if I'm having Baja Blast margaritas, and then there's also tacos and nachos on tap, I may be running that tab up pretty high if it's a weekend or a day off.
That might lead to hives.
That might lead to hives for you. That would lead to some debilitating heartburn.
Yeah,
Um,
it wouldn't be good.
that would be a once in a blue moon. That can't be a frequent thing.
The other thing that's interesting afterwards, just getting back to things we're talking about or making it relevant for our podcast, those that made it through with the outbreak that caused a little, some not great GI days, they then need to work on ways to improve their microbiome because their microbiome is now
Depleted.
it's depleted and the good stuff is depleted and that nice protective layer is gone, makes them at risk for food sensitivity, immune issues, etc. So that's why it's important to do what you can to once you're feeling better, eat very well, possibly some key probiotics, do stuff to get your gut back from what we call dysbiosis to a healthy microbiome.
So I have a couple questions related to the gut biome in a situation like this. Let's say you have Cyclospora, you clear out your microbiome. Could this be an opportunity to sort of reset if maybe you're already in dysbiosis? Like, what could this potentially even you out to a certain degree?
No, but it might, I don't think it's going to help you, but it might make you purposely want to improve it. So
Yeah.
I think that's like you said about these companies that had a bad thing and they turn around and get better. The positive is that someone could work with someone to get their gut better that they may never have attempted had they not had this unfortunate episode.
And then another question I had, so, we talk about in the microbiome and the gut microbiome specifically, uh, there's a lot of sort of there's good bacteria, there's harmful bacteria, then there's neutral bacteria. Are there any neutral parasites that might be in the microbiome?
Well, I think you have some parasites. So there are some parasites that may not be infectious. You have everything in your gut. I mean, they picked up dust mites, you inhale stuff. So there are viruses that pass through your microbiome. There's candida. I mean, there are all sorts of things. It's not just bacteria. There are all types of microbes. And most of them, or many of them, are not infectious or disease causing.
Well, I am in Northern California. I'm in a hotel and I am going to be picked up shortly to make a surprise, quote unquote, surprise appearance at a wedding shower. This is a topical and timely topic. It's been fun to talk about it, but it will. And granted, my dad is an expert in so many things and he is a medical doctor, but I don't think CDC outbreaks as his expertise. He's not a parasite expert.
I'll tell you the truth, Drew. When we went over parasites in medical school, it went in one ear and out the other, enough to just pass the test, and then that was it. And fortunately, the thing in medicine with things that are very specific, like parasites or even plants, and what I've learned, contact allergens like cobalt and some long names. What did I say? Pronopol. Anyway, and balsam of Peru, and the medical terms are even longer. Once you start dealing with it, you understand it more. But fortunately for parasites, it's not something I deal with my patients. So it's something that I'm not as up on. So, but I can speak about my opinion about someone who suffered from a parasitic infection. But as for the true medical information and treatment, I'm not the person. But it's been a good topic because it's relevant time-wise.
Well, thank you for checking out the show. Hopefully, this was enlightening or interesting or a different perspective on Cyclospora. If you're enjoying these conversations, please subscribe so you don't miss new episodes. It helps bring more people to the show. It helps more people find the show, which we really appreciate. Again, follow the link in our description. Email us questions, myallergistdad@gmail.com, and we will answer them on the show. Before we go, Dad, any final thoughts?
Wash your hands.
Wash your hands, wash your vegetables. And if you haven't seen it, the movie Parasite is very good. Not directly related to this topic, but thematically maybe. All right, take care, everybody.
If allergies got you down bad, then just ask my allergist. My allergist dad.
The My Allergist Dad podcast is for general informational and entertainment purposes only and does not constitute the practice of medicine, nursing, or other professional healthcare services, including the giving of medical advice, and no doctor-patient relationship is formed. The use of information on this podcast or materials linked from this podcast is at the user's own risk. The content of this podcast is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Users should not disregard or delay in obtaining medical advice for any medical condition they may have and should seek the assistance of their healthcare professionals for any such conditions.